Well, it's that time again to call out Spectrum News Channel 1, and no surprise that, I cannot wait for August 15th to come sooner rather than later to do a video at Chelsea Market calling them out. Because this is just getting to be a point where this is the proof why I'm looking forward to, you know, carrying that little mic headset that I'm going to use on that date because, I have to do a couple microphone checks when it gets close enough, but yeah, in terms of what's going on with overall crime, man, I mean, my viewers have been messaging me nonstop on Instagram about this Law and Order story about the shooting where somebody was shot trying to hold a parking spot for a production truck in Brooklyn. I'm telling you, I mean, my viewers since last night, they're like, why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you talk about it? Well, I'm going to talk about it now. Believe me, because this has to be talked about. Everyone's so focused on this whole Jose Alba thing, and they're so focused on the shooting in Harlem, which, by the way, Channel 1 did a good job covering what happened in Harlem, and we'll watch that. But no, we're Channel 1. So we are not going to send a reporter to Brooklyn to cover that story. So yeah, you got to go on the public safety section, and it just shows their priorities at Channel 1. It just shows what they really gear to. You got to go all the way down just to find the story. Look, here it is right here. Here it is right here. Let's draw it to give you an example. Right there. See? You got to go right there just to find it. I mean, really. Really. So let's read the AM New York article, because remember, this is the same group that's part of Schlepp's Media that owns Bronx Times, Brooklyn Paper, and the Courier, of course. So here we go. Executed in Brooklyn. Man shot dead while holding parking spots for Law and Order shoot. And thankfully, out of all publications, AM New York was the only major newspaper that had this on the front page this morning. Because they normally publish the paper at around 11:30 the night before, so that way it has enough time to get circulated. But yeah, let's read this. Here we go. This was in the paper today. Life imitated art on a Brooklyn street Tuesday morning when a gunman executed a 31-year-old man who was apparently enforcing a no parking zone for a Law and Order crime shoot. Police say the deadly shooting happened last night. Oh, actually, no, yesterday early morning. Yeah, 5:23 a.m. yesterday morning on July 19th in front of an apartment building on North Henry Street off Norman Avenue in Greenpoint. Oh, you really cannot make this stuff up. Ugh. All right, according to WABC TV, the victim, Johnny Pizarro, age 31, and production assistant from Pomelo Street in Woodrow, Queens, was gunned down while holding parking spots on North Henry Street in preparation for filming the popular NBC crime drama franchise known for stories ripped from the headlines. A police source familiar with the case said the victim was enforcing no parking regulations on the block in advance of filming. Officers from the 94th Precinct responded to reports of the shooting. Found Mr. Pizarro shot in the face and neck. Following a preliminary investigation, detectives determined that Pizarro had been sitting inside a parked vehicle when the unidentified shooter walked up, opened the driver's side door to the vehicle, and began firing. Okay. Well, somebody was probably filming the shooting too. You never know. The motive for the shooting remains unknown and under investigation. It's believed that Pizarro was the shooter's intended target. Mr. Pizarro was taken to Woodhull Hospital where he was pronounced dead a short time later. So, according to detectives from the precinct, they are looking for a man with medium complexion, thin build, 5 feet 4 inches, black hooded sweatshirt, and black pants. So, real-life detectives were, of course, on Henry Street looking for evidence and possibly a witness to the murder. So, NBC Universal did release a statement. The statement said, "We were terribly saddened and shocked to hear that one of our crew members was the victim of a crime early this morning and has died as a result. We are working with law enforcement as they continue to investigate. Our heart goes out to his family and friends, and we ask you respect their privacy during this time." So, according to a local resident, he has had beefs before with film and television production companies to frequent the area and close blocks off to park vehicles and related equipment. So, according to the local resident, it's a battle between production companies and trying to find parking. They put up signs all the time, put them up all the time, and I'm upset that this happened to a production assistant. So, something tells me that this was a grudge, and it has to be a local resident who gets annoyed about parking who did this. It has to be. It doesn't... Again, somebody had to have filmed the shooting. Because there's so many TV cameras in that area filming, and, you know, maybe somebody had their cell phone out when they heard the gunshots going off. I don't know. Especially with how cameras are more wide available these days. But, anyhow. We're going to move on to our next story. And sadly, another homicide has been reported in New York City. A teenager from New Jersey was shot to death in broad daylight. And I will mention, Channel 4 did a good job covering this. The other stations did too, but Channel 1, of course, did cover it, so we'll watch their story in a bit. So, here we go. Justin Streeter, 14, of Plainfield, New Jersey, succumbed to a gunshot wound to the head. The other victim, a 15-year-old boy, is recovering from injuries. Thankfully, the boy will be okay. So, this shooting happened at 4:22 p.m. yesterday afternoon along East 128th Street off Park Avenue. So, the boys were walking near a bodega when the unidentified male shooter arrived at the corner, pointing a gun at the youngsters and began firing. So, according to local police, they were deliberately targeted. So, it says here that the teenagers ran into the street. Streeter fell between two cars after being shot. Matteray said the 15-year-old boy, who is in stable condition, was able to get assistance from a passerby. So, officers from the 2-5 precinct responded to the scene. Streeter was rushed to Harlem Hospital in very serious condition. So, they did update him to stable, I think, this afternoon today. But I'm not... I think that's what I saw online, but... We are going to watch the Channel 1 story. So, Lewis Dodley did actually introduce it last night. So, let me put my mic off for a second.
2 teenagers are shot in Manhattan, one still fighting for his life tonight. Eric Feldman's in East Harlem with all the latest for us. Eric?
Lewis, that 14-year-old boy shot in the head, being described by police in very, very serious condition. A 15-year-old boy also shot, expected to be okay. He was hit in the leg. They were both leaving a deli off of 128th and Park here in East Harlem when a gunman shot both of them. And what we're learning tonight, shell casings on the ground, 9 of them that you can see, and that's where NYPD says the shooter was standing. The 15-year-old boy ran away, hobbling, helped down the street by someone who happened to be passing by who called 911. Both boys were taken to the hospitals in the area, and tonight we're learning from NYPD, Lewis, that it appears the gunman targeted these 2 boys. Hard to believe, difficult to fathom, but it appears to be the case.
This is terrible, and we shouldn't have to suffer through this gun violence, all right? New York is so much better, all right? The people of this city, this is the best city in the world. We shouldn't be scared to walk out in our streets in the broad daylight in the middle of the afternoon and feel like we're going to be victims of gun violence.
and the gunman ran west from here. Police looking for any information on who that person might be. There are some security cameras that I've seen here on the block, so hopefully that can help police. But again, they're looking for your help. So if you know anything about what happened this afternoon, during this afternoon in East Harlem, please call 1-800-577-TIPS. Again, Lewis, a 14-year-old boy appears to be fighting for his life, described in very, very serious condition. In East Harlem, Eric Feldman, New York 1.
So, excellent report from Channel 1 regarding the story, and I wish they could be more proactive like this, but nope, we're not going to all the time. And I will mention, before we go to the other news, it's time again to play another game of Where's Pat Kiernan? Yes! Pat Kiernan is on vacation time again. Really? Come on, Pat. People expect to watch you in the morning, but no, you don't want to show up from your job. Ugh. Okay, so let's get to some other news. I think we're going to start off in Queens just to see what's going on around here. Oh, subway crime. Here we go. Let's read this. Vandalism. And remember, most of these stories you're not even going to hear about on Channel 1. A vandal has been smashing multiple surveillance cameras inside of 2 subway stations along the 7 line. Police from the 108th Precinct along with District 20 are looking for a suspect who intentionally damaged 9 cameras belonging to the MTA. According to the NYPD, the surveillance equipment is valued around $3,000. So, the unidentified man struck twice at 2 separate stations on Monday, June 27th. First on the northbound 7 train platform at 40th Street Lowry on Queens Boulevard, just after 2 p.m. The suspect smashed 4 security cameras before taking off in an unknown direction. Oh, and then look at this. The next station after that, 46th Street Bliss, 15 minutes later. 3 more security cameras were smashed. And then look at this. The same vandal went back to 40th Street. This happened last week, 2 p.m., July 12th. 2 more surveillance cameras were damaged. Alright, so here's a good look at the suspects according to Crime Stoppers. Here's who they're looking for. So it says here that the suspect was seen with unkempt dark hair, light complexion. Yeah, like he might be Latino. Wearing a red t-shirt, dark sweatpants with a black bag slung over his shoulder. In the second picture that was taken last week, the suspect was wearing a blue t-shirt and gray shorts. So, let's see. It's basically the same guy, but look. definitely a dumb criminal right here. Definitely a dumb criminal. I mean, you're smashing cameras and yet the police are able to apprehend the pictures before, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah, this is the one I was looking for. This one, 1010 Wins actually bought this up. I think Pix 11 did too. Happened in Corona. So, it's bad enough that Manhattan is leading with most sexual assault cases that we talked about yesterday. It seems sexual assault has come to Queens. So here's what we know. This happened on Friday, June 10th at 2 p.m. A 30-year-old woman notified the 115th Precinct in Jackson Heights that she was walking near the corner of Roosevelt Avenue and 103rd Street. So look at that, right by the subway. Just after 2 p.m. on Friday, June 10th. Suspect approached her from behind and grabbed her buttocks. So there you go. The same type of sexual inappropriateness in Manhattan has now spread to Queens. The suspect fled the scene and the victim followed him to a residential building at 100-19 40th Road, located within the confines of the 110 precinct. The victim recorded her alleged groper as he went into the building and later came out of the residence in a different change of clothing. Okay, so here we go. The police believe that the suspect is Latino, somewhere in his 20s, around 160 pounds, 5 foot 6 inches, medium build, brown eyes, medium. Again, supposed to say possible Latino, but anyhow, short dark hair. First observed wearing blue jeans, blue jacket, brown boots, and a beige cowboy hat. And he was holding a blue guitar. He was later observed wearing a short-sleeved black shirt and blue jeans. Okay, this is interesting. This guy could be... This guy has a good disguise. He must be smart. Because, look at this. Looks like he's in a mariachi band or something. So, the police could catch this guy. It is possible. Especially if he's seen with that. You never know. The face adds up. Okay, so I just want to see what else is going on in terms of other notable stuff. Okay, well, a lot of robberies going on, and I don't really have the patience or the time to get into it. So let's see what else is going on around here. Because I don't want to make the video too long. Yeah, okay, this is what I was looking for. That, and... yeah, here we go. Catalytic converters. So we'll read that one last. Oh, this one in Brooklyn's definitely getting read first. This one's definitely getting read first. No question. What happened? Come on. There we go. Now you budge. Now you budge. Really. 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 Here's the one I was looking for. So, this just shows that Channel 1 really has a cold heart. A man with autism was assaulted in Brooklyn. So here we go. This happened last Monday, July 11th. According to local police, 6:30 p.m., the autistic man, aged 33, was sitting in the lobby of a building in the vicinity of York and Gold Street, where he was approached by an unknown man. The suspect proceeded to strike the victim multiple times with an unknown hard object. The victim managed to get away and was taken to Brooklyn Hospital to be treated for his injuries. At this time, the motive behind the attack is unclear. So, look at that. And this is just not the city. I mean, I found out recently that felony assault is also going up in Nassau County overall this year. And especially because I have a friend of mine who was a victim of it. So, believe me, it's definitely disturbing with these felony assault cases in New York City and now Long Island, too. And now you got an autistic man who was just minding his own business, attacked. Okay, so where is the where's the fire in Brooklyn? Here we go. This is it. Car fire in a Brooklyn building. Look at that. Look at that. I'm going to stay in Brooklyn to stay organized, because when you do these videos, you have to have an organized pace. So there you go. So here is what happened this morning. 8:40 a.m. A commercial building on fire at 461 Liberty Avenue. FDNY did respond. Firefighters had to force their way into the building, and once they were inside, the firefighters found a car that was on fire. So this is probably an auto garage, most likely. Yeah. So this was an all hands transmitted, according to Firewire, with around 50 firefighters using 2 hose lines to knock down the fire. So this was briefly brought under control in 25 minutes. So kudos to FDNY. So the fire marshal is investigating what possibly caused it. Considering that this was a car garage, yeah, this is definitely a car garage. I could tell. Insurance Seguros. Yeah, that's kind of suspicious right there. Okay, so what I want to read now is what happened on the Upper East Side. So I'm telling you, there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on in the Upper East Side lately. It's just crazy. I mean, Donald Trump's first wife fell down the steps. Okay, we had that mother shot in the baby stroller. We had the bank robbery that happened at Chase on East 86th and 2nd. And now this. Mom found dead in apartment. Son succumbs to high-rise fall. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. Okay, shame on AM New York. How do you not give the cross street? That's the most important rule when you're giving an address in Manhattan. Okay, so this is right by Park Avenue. Okay. I'm sorry for getting upset about that, but again, I'm a native, and especially because, again, if you don't give me a cross street in Manhattan, I get very upset about that. So here we go. According to the NYPD, at 10:29 a.m. yesterday morning, officers responded to a 911 call regarding a man in need of help at 108 East 79th Street. Upon their arrival, the police found 26-year-old Douglas Solomon in the courtyard at the building, unconscious and unresponsive with trauma to his body. Police said that Mr. Solomon's injuries are consistent with falling from an elevated position. Upon further investigation, officers found Mr. Solomon's mother, 65-year-old Diane Gallagher, inside an apartment at the building, unconscious and unresponsive with head trauma. Paramedics declared the victims dead. So we don't know what were the events that led up to it. So okay. Last but not least, NYPD is now starting off a catalytic converter anti-theft label enrollment. So what does this mean? That is a very good question. So they're now doing this in Staten Island and Queens. This is interesting. Last weekend at the 121 in Graniteville and the 112 in Forest Hills, NYPD Auto Crime Unit, they wanted to put labels, of course, to prevent the thefts of catalytic converters. So we have talked about catalytic converter thefts, these devices that help your car, of course, control exhaust emissions. So what happens is, if you don't have it, your car is polluting more. It causes a problem. And, you know, it just makes it a very, very bad issue. So they're putting labels underneath. I wish the 107 would do that, because my dad would greatly appreciate it. Especially for his cars, because here we go. The catalytic converter thieves again target pickup trucks, SUVs, and Hondas. Oh boy, so that's not good. I'm going to have to warn my friend in Bayside about this because he has a 2014 Civic. Well, they're going to probably want the catalytic converter for the... Because again, you can get a lot of money for that. That's why the thieves want it. So this is why, again, I have to constantly read through AM New York. You know, it's just so unfortunate. And at least there's some good news. At least we have a local business in Manhattan that's actually still open. So let's actually read some good news to wrap up this video. Let's actually read some good news because it seems we don't have enough of that these days. H&H Bagels is celebrating 50 years of serving and delivering bagels. So we do know that there's an Upper East Side location at 1551 2nd Avenue. And I don't know, maybe I might plan a trip out to this place on the way to Carl Schultz Park in the future. Because I've heard about this place before. Yeah, see? Not too far from 86th Street. So I might take a trip in the future. There's a possibility. I'll just probably have to end up taking a 6 train up there. Because remember, the 2nd Avenue line, that stops at 72nd. So, yeah. I mean, there's so many good restaurants in the Upper East Side I'm not taking advantage of when I'm in that area. I mean, I don't want to be kept out of Central Park. I don't want to be kept out of Carl Schultz. And none of these criminals should stop me. They shouldn't. Especially going to a good business like this. So H&H. So they have other ones. They have Upper West Side. And they actually have one in Moynihan Train Hall. That's interesting. Okay. So I'm definitely going to be at Moynihan on July 15th. Not July 15th. August 15th. Okay. So I'll consider it. I would love to get a bagel from this place. So, we need more positive news. We don't need more negative news like what happened in Harlem. We don't. I wish things could be on the way up. But I can't say that for now. So, that's going to conclude today's video. I'm done here. And, you know, I'm going to just be grateful that I've been able to stay cool during this heat wave the first 2 days so far. And we have to make it to Tuesday because we're not going to break below 90 until Tuesday at this point. So that's it.